Alrighty, I'm going to get going on the second part of my series on research. And this part, we're going to talk about research materials. And I think I mentioned clubs before and joining the clubs. And the importance of that is if you're brand new to prospecting, there is no better way to learn where the gold is and how it got there and how it was mined by the old timers than joining the club. Yeah, you can pour over the books and try to find a spot that nobody's been and try to get out there and do it on your own, but it really helps, especially when you're new to this, to join a club. Why? Well, number one, you get gold claims to go to, and that's invaluable. You get to go to the spots where the gold was found before. And I've talked about before that when you go looking for gold, especially for metal detecting, and that's my main form of gold prospecting, and I try to go where gold's been found before, and I branch out from there. So by joining a club, you get access to spots where gold has been found before. And when you join a club, I mean, you get locations, map after map after map, describing the placer deposit that you're going to be working. We got the GPAA. This was a Roadrunner book. This is GPAA, another great club. And the difference between the two is GPAA is a business, a for-profit business, and they serve the mining community. They fight for us in court and work with other organizations to make sure we keep our right to mine. And it's a great outfit, and they've got gold claims all across the United States, and you get to go to them all. And I think that runs around 84, 85, 184, something like that. You know what? I'm really not sure off the top of my head. I think it's $85 a year, something like that. I could be wrong on that part of it. Roadrunners, they're not real expensive either. And then there's a whole lot of smaller clubs out there. You go to Tucson, there's clubs there. You go to Las Vegas, you got clubs in Las Vegas. You go to other places, you're going to find gold clubs. And once you're in the club, you're able to drive right out there, get out of your vehicle, and know there's been gold found where you're at. Is that all you need? No way, man. Once you've got the club membership, you've got a place to go. You still have that problem of roaring out there in your vehicle with all your stuff and getting out and looking around and going, geez, where do I start? And I think you better get a pencil and paper, because some of this stuff I'm going to be saying is going to need to be written down, especially on some of the literature that I'm going to mention. Okay, so you've got your club claim, you've got your membership, you're planning on going out to a new spot. Where do you even start to hunt? Well, fortunately, there are books like these on the market right now. This is called Placer Gold Deposits of Arizona. And this is Arizona Gold Placers and Placering. Eldred Wilson, and this one is Maureen Johnson. And the Nevada Bureau of Mines puts one out for Nevada. There are books for California, Oregon, Washington. And these are put together by the Bureau of Mines. And what they put in these books is the name of the deposit, where the deposit was, how the deposit was located, the type of gold on the deposit, how big the biggest nuggets were in that deposit, what the average size of the gold was in that deposit, how they worked it, and where the gold originally came from and how old the placer is. Now you've gone from getting out of your truck and wondering where to start to getting out of your truck and knowing what you think you should do to find gold in that one spot. And for instance here, we're going to open up Placer Gold Deposits of Arizona, and we're going to read a small This book's kind of wore out. I've been using it a long time. We're going to look in, this is called the Oro Blanco District. Okay, this is in Arizona, down in southern Arizona. And here's what the book has to say. And yes, the GPAA does have some claims down there, and I think the Roadrunners even might. But we've got location, Oro Blanco Mountains, north of the United States-Mexico boundary, T23S, RS10, and 11E. So now you've got a location. Okay. Topographic maps, Ruby and Oro Blanco 50-minute quadrangles. You know what maps you need. Geological map, Wilson Moore, those are not as important yet. This is a geological map. You can see the colors on there and different areas, and it shows the type of mineral deposits and what the mineral deposits are associated with, how they got there in the first place. So we're going to go into that later. I don't want to dump too much on you at once in that respect. It just get confusing. Okay, so access from Nogales, about 25 miles northwest on State Highway 289 to Oro Blanco. Dirt roads and jeep trails lead south to placer areas. Okay, well, theoretically, you already have a map to where you're going. All right, so this is just adding to the info you already have. But here comes the important part. The extent of the placers. The Oro Blanco Mountains are named for the fact that the placer gold found in the area is so alloyed with silver that it is silvery white. Placer gold is said to occur in almost every ravine and gulch on many hillsides and on surfaces where the soil is reddish from decomposed pyrite. Okay, we're learning, aren't we? Alamo Gulch and its neighboring gulches, and it gives a location, or in the Oro Blanco quadrangle, reportedly contained the richest placers. Gold recovered from Alamo Gulch was valued at $16 per ounce, and that was back when gold was $20.67 per ounce. Placers found in the mouth of Warsaw Gulch on California Gulch, also called Oro Blanco Viejo Gulch, sections 29T, 23S, R11, and E, Ruby Quadrangle, contained gold valued at $10 per ounce at $20.67 per ounce. So that gold was half silver. Most of the gold ranged in size from flour to small nuggets. Now the production history, this is where it gets important for the nugget shooter and for anybody that gold prospects for that matter. Production history. During the past century, most of the placer mining was done with crude implements and with an inadequate water supply. During the 20th century, some large-scale placer mining had been attempted. Most of these operations were unsuccessful. However, because of the fine size of the gold, In the source of gold, the placers were derived from the numerous gold-silver bearing veins in the Oro Blanco Mountains. And then it goes on to give the literature. Okay, now that was just a short little one. And some of these go into a lot more detail. But that gave you the information you need to get right on the placer area and hunt. Okay, this book is going to have the same information, maybe worded a little differently. These books are invaluable. You've got to have them. The cool part about the book from Johnson is you get this map along with the book. All right, I don't know if you can see the map real well or not here, but this is going to give you all the placer locations in Arizona that were economically important at the time they made this map. Okay, so the yellow dots are showing you placers that produce $10,000 or more, and the clear whiter dots are showing you placers that produce less than that. And placers that weren't economically important to the government at that time were not listed. Not listed. Okay, a lot of those placers that weren't listed are just perfect for the nugget hunter. You get out there and you can find some pretty good gold. And you got to remember, these books were written back when gold was only $20-some an ounce. So now with gold being up over $1,000 an ounce, some of these smaller placers that aren't listed are worth an awful lot of money to the lucky prospector that walks into them. And a lot of times I hope that's me. Okay, so we got the books, we got the club claim, and we're starting to get zeroed in on how to locate these spots. Okay, the problem being though, now you've located this spot, you found your club claim, you want to branch out a little bit, right? You want to do some of that fringe hunting everybody talks about, or get off the club claims and maybe wander off on your own and find some new spots that you can hunt and find some sizable, workable gold deposits. Well, at that point, you've got to branch out and start looking in the areas around. And that's where a geological map comes in. And with a geological map, you can actually look at this map, overlay it on this geological map, and start looking at the features around and start learning where gold might be found along with the gold that was in that placer. A lot of times it can be just a short ways away, sometimes up to a mile away or more, and even more than that. And you have to get out there and look. And we're going to go more into this later, okay? The main thing right now on this one, before it gets too long, is now that you know this area, you've got a gold claim in the general area, how do you branch out and find new spots without getting in trouble and being on somebody else's claim? That's where the pencil and paper is going to come in right now. Fortunately, something we didn't have back in the old days, you can go online now. And there's a couple different mapping programs out there that work with the BLM's LR2000 to show you what areas are claimed and what areas are not claimed. And both of them cost a little bit of money. I think one is $35 a year. That would be Gold Maps Online. And you can find overlay maps for Google Earth for your state, or any other state for that matter. And then there's minecache.com. And they go into a little more detail. And I think that, again, they're in the $30-some a year range. And what you get is KML files that overlay on top of your Google Earth program. And these show you claims that are active, claims that are not active anymore, claims that were abandoned years and years ago. And you can really get a lot of information this way. For instance, you go into an area and you find a lot of abandoned placer claims in that area. That's a good area to go look at. There may not have been enough paying gold for the old timers that had those claims long ago, but there may be enough paying gold for a nugget hunter to go in there with a detector and do pretty well. And I had a fella ask me recently online how I'm able to check these washes out, or if the washes are on maps. And yes, they are. On most of the topo maps I use, the washes are shown clearly on there, and though a lot of them aren't named, you can still look at the wash. With Google Earth, you can bring up an area you want to hunt so close that you can actually see disturbance of past workings from the old timers in the washes. And I've gotten into some pretty good areas just by doing that, by picking an area out of the book or picking an area out of my gold claims that I have and starting to branch out around that area and look. And I zoom in with Google Earth and follow the roads and look for evidence of the old timers work in these areas. And all this sounds real easy when you're hearing some guy sit at a desk and talk about it, but it's not. It takes some work. And there's a lot of other publications out there, and you can find some older books, and I try to grab everything I can. And this is Mineral and Gem Locations in Arizona. I've never seen another copy of this book anywhere. And this book is pretty amazing in that it has geological maps right inside it. So when it's telling you locations of gems and minerals in the state of Arizona, it's also giving you a geological map to look at. So this combined with this, combined with that, and these equals gold in a lot of cases for me. And it's okay to go willy-nilly out there and running around with your detector and hoping to find gold, but if you're not actually doing research and knowing where you want to go and why you want to go there, you're hindered. Man, are you hindered. And I can't count the number of people I've seen that get into this hobby or business or whatever you want to call it and quit within a year or less because they find out that we actually have to work pretty darn hard to find the gold that we show. And this goes for places like Australia where it seems like they can just walk out the back door and gold jumps into their hand. It's not that way, my friends. The guys that are finding the nuggets and showing them online are the guys that are going out and working their butts off to get those nuggets. And that includes, once you find a spot, how do you even go about efficiently hunting it so that you're not just getting one or two of the pieces of gold that might be there, or none of the gold that's there, and leaving it for somebody else? And these are things we're going to go into as I continue with this series. And I hope some of you are going to ask some questions and give me some direction to go on things that you really want to know. And all you got to do is leave a comment. And I'll take notes and put it into my next presentation involved in this. And it may seem like I kind of wander around a little scatterbrained as I'm giving this info. And that's because I've been doing this so long, and I overlook something as I'm talking, and I'll race back and try to fit it back in. And the biggest thing that I can tell you right now that's going to be the biggest help to you is know why you are there. Know why you're there. Being on a placer claim, club claim, or any other, or an area that you read about in the book that's supposed to have gold, if you don't know how that gold was produced, where it was found, how it was found, the characteristics of the gold and whatnot, you're starting from scratch, man. I mean, you're at base zero. And it really helps to have some information on that area so that when you do go in there, you have a plan. And I guess the second part of this, the theme on this one, was simply to have a plan before you get out there and hunt. And that makes all the difference in the world. And I know there's a whole bunch of you right now thinking, you know, that's what it's been like for me. I get out there, I get out of my vehicle, I look around, I'm on a gold claim, but I don't even know where to start or where the gold was. And as we go on with this, I'm going to shift over from how I locate areas to how I work that area after I locate it to give myself the best chance of finding some nuggets. And I hope this helped a little bit. And again, please leave some comments or something if there's something you want to know or something I'm not covering. And I am not doing this in any basic order, I guess you'd say. I'm just showing you how I do things. And this isn't the only way to do things, but this is the way I do it. And it works for me. And I've been doing it a long time. And having several different sources of maps and several different clubs that I'm in, and I even have books from some clubs that are no longer around, that I was in 20 years ago and whatnot, that still have good information in them. It was club claims. And as I move along, you're going to learn some of these little secrets that aren't really secrets. They're just different ways of going about doing the work involved to find the gold. There's no magic. It's simply hard work. And I actually enjoy the research. So for now, we're going to call this part 2. And part 3 is going to come up, and we're going to start off right where we're leaving off today. And I'll go into what happens after I get there. If you even can get there. Sometimes you find out you can't. And for now, until part 3, my friends, it's Nugget Shooter out.